Organizers of the program are of the belief that the national contingency plan should be reviewed if the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico is anything to go by.
2 years back, within the Gulf of Mexico, have taught people several lessons to learn about preventative measures to be taken in case disaster strikes. Now, no one is expecting that oil spill will take place in the Gambia anytime soon. But as they say in English language, prevention is sometimes better than cure.
John Ostergaard, principal consultant from Denmark, said the stakes are high, arguing that the Gambia cannot afford to be left behind in effort geared towards mitigating disasters. Contributing a staggering 14% towards the country's gross domestic product, tourism is undoubtedly a major player in the economy. From his vantage position, Ostergaard saw a ship meandering through the ocean. He was happy that the Gambia had something to lean on, oil spill or no oil spill.
The national contingency planning process is a complex process which needs to be under constant scrutiny, as the national plan is a living document that constantly is in need of updating in order to be in compliance with national and international developments.
The National Disaster Management Agency, in collaboration with its partners, drafted a national contingency plan in 2011. NDMA was happy to report to the meeting on what SRCAN described as an integrated plan.
But the Gambian National Contingency Plan, which was developed in 2011, did not only look at oil spill, it looked at all the major hazards as well. So it's an integrated contingency plan.
The Minister of Petroleum, Tenemba Jaite, said the fact that the Gambia has devised a comprehensive national contingency plan, it goes to show the country's state of preparedness in case disasters strike.
The specifics of the plan are a clear indication and demonstration of our collective will and resolve to anticipate and effectively respond to any emergency and disaster related to oil spill in the Gambia.
What happened in the Gulf of Mexico some years back may never happen here. However, the authorities do not want to be complacent. They are instead preparing for the worst-case scenario. Ibrahima Balde, Grts.
A substantial quantity of drugs seized from traffickers by operatives of the National Drug Enforcement Agency today went in flames before journalists and other invitees. The bonfire marks the culmination of celebrations marking World No Drug Day. Louis Mendy picks up the rest of that story.
It is mandatory on the part of the National Drug Enforcement Agency that all drugs seized from drug traffickers are publicly destroyed after they have been successfully dealt with at the court. NDEA, a body responsible for the fight against drugs in the country, recently took a lead role in accomplishing that mandate by burning 3 tons of cannabis, 8 kilos of cocaine, and 20 grams of heroin around the Old Cape Road.
This exercise is very important for the agency as it once again shows to the Gambian public the excellent work that the men and women of the agency are doing. It also shows the international community in general and the Gambians in particular that the government of the Gambia is very, very serious in its drive to make the Gambia drug-free state.
However, I would like to report that over the past 2 years, we have registered some numerous success. In terms of quantity, we are destroying the following: cannabis, 3 tons, 15 kilos, and 47 grams. Cocaine, 8 kilos and 2 grams. Heroin, 20 grams.
The event is said to be historic, for it vividly manifested the government's commitment to make the Gambia a drug-free nation. But should the fight against drugs be a job for the government alone?
Well, on behalf of the judiciary, we wish to thank the National Drug Enforcement Agency for this exercise in its fight against drug abuse, not only in this country, but in this sub-region and worldwide. And what we observed this afternoon, the testing exercise was thoroughly done by all the experts brought in by the NDA to the general satisfaction of the public and especially the diplomatic corps here in present and the NDA. And we are very thankful, and we wish to remind the government of this country that the judiciary, in its pursuit to continue the speedy trial of drug cases brought before its court, has extended the jurisdictions of the narcotic court from Banjul to cover all the jurisdictions in this country.
The government in recent times has declared an all-out campaign on all fronts to curb the menace posted by the presence of drug in the country. And with all hands on deck, the NDA is optimistic that the result is not far-fetched. Louis Mendy, GRTS.
You can follow these programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio Live. We'll be back with more stories right after this first break.
Discover the smiling coast of Africa.
Welcome back. Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga has ruled out the withdrawal of Kenyan troops from Somalia. The statement followed the killing of 17 people in 2 separate attacks on churches blamed on the Al-Shabaab Islamist group, and the 4 International Criminal Court officials who were held in captivity in Zintan have been freed. We have details of these stories and others in this African News Roundup.
Kenya's Prime Minister Raila Odinga announced that Kenyan troops will not pull out of Somalia until security is restored. Sunday, 17 people were killed in attacks on 2 churches in the town of Garissa. The attacks are blamed on Somali Shabaab Islamists. These have been the worst attacks in Kenya since 2000. 4 legal officials from the International Criminal Court, who have been kept in detention for nearly a month in Libya, have been released. The team is now back at the International Criminal Court headquarters in The Hague. The team was arrested after a visit with Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. The son of Muammar Gaddafi is in a prison in the town of Zintan. The Libyan authorities want to try Saif al-Gaddafi and are refusing to hand him over to the International Court. Parts of Nigeria's economic capital, Lagos, is flooded, forcing residents to evacuate. The floods were caused by heavy rains. These seasonal rains often force people to leave their homes and businesses, since the drainage system is almost inexistent. Another larger problem is that erosion of the coastline is destroying a buffer zone between the sea and inhabited areas, resulting in sea flooding as well.
Human Rights Watch in Syria has released an 81-page document detailing alleged rights violations against defectors and critics of the Assad regime. The authors of the report interviewed ex-prisoners and prisoners who were said to have supported claims that government officials have been torturing people since the revolt began sometimes last year. Let's look at this report for more on that.
On Tuesday, Human Rights Watch released a report detailing widespread torture in Syria. The rights group says the Syrian regime has been torturing people since the anti-government uprising began in March 2011. The 81-page document is based on 200 interviews with former prisoners and people who have defected. They beat us and said, "You want freedom, you want democracy? Here's your freedom, here is your democracy." If a soldier refused an order, he would be sentenced to death. They put this metal device between your legs to crush your genitals. You scream so loud and start telling them what they want to hear. These eyewitness accounts have enabled Human Rights Watch to get the names of the torturers and to determine the location of the detention centers.
Really, the Syrian authorities is running a